But all of La Paz is not markets and fairs and dancing, for the city of peace is full of colonial tradition. Founded in 1548 by a lieutenant of Pedro de la Gasca, it is laden with all the architectural glories which grace the early capital. Spanish stonework by Indian artisans tends to perpetuate Indian forms, and the heads of ancient gods loom strangely on these Christian columns. Even here the Chola reappears, this time in another guise, as a nurse to a newly christened child. The Chola nurse is to many La Paz families what the Negro mammy was in the southern homes of the United States. And many a child of Spanish-speaking parents grows up speaking fluent Aymara. Also belonging to antiquity is the strangely beautiful cemetery, where the dead are placed in tombs high above the ground. In a new part of the city is the National Stadium, seating 60,000 people. Bolivians, in common with virtually all other South Americans, are lovers of soccer, which they play far harder and better than would seem possible at this altitude. Imagine yourself doing this, for example, on top of Pikes Peak. Smart La Paz loves the movies. This is one city in which Argentine and Mexican-made films are almost as frequent as those from North America. Most fashionable is the Vermouth or 6 o'clock show on Sunday evening. This is 1 hour in the week when you can be fairly sure of seeing La Paz out in its best bib and tucker. But there is still another La Paz, not picturesque, but important for the city's future. The Bolivians have great ambition for the industrialization of their country, and factories like this are becoming focal points in economic expansion. They have an almost childlike love of intricate machinery, and they also have sufficient good and inexpensive manpower to run it. But there are obstacles to industrial expansion here. There's little fuel for plant operation. Most serious of all, every piece of machinery in this wool factory had to make the long sea trip from Europe or North America and the expensive rail trip up from the Pacific coast. In spite of these obstacles, industrialization and construction are going ahead in this new, realistic La Paz. This fantasy-tinged project of tearing down a hill has the purely practical end in view of constructing a highway to link La Paz with its eastern suburb of Miraflores. In these projects, cholos are the chief workmen. Indians will occasionally join them for a few days, but they are farmers at heart and prefer to work the soil.
In Miraflores, construction is in progress on a new workers' housing project to replace the ancient adobe huts, which it is the wish of every citizen of La Paz to destroy. And all over the city, the adobes are coming down, and new, starkly modern buildings of reinforced concrete and brick are going up. The silhouette of La Paz is changing more rapidly than that of any other American capital today. This reconstruction is a hard job. There is no easy access to building material. There's little wood, and all iron and steel must be imported. This adds to the cost and increases the difficulties of all construction. But still they build. Bolivia looks to a time when a greater part of her national territory will become economically effective, producing not only tin and other ore, for which she is already famous, but food, clothing, and building materials sufficient for her own needs. La Paz, the center of modern Bolivia, is already the highest big city in the world. It is growing in the face of tremendous odds, as though there were some special virtue in this height, as though it literally increased the stature of the city. La Paz has set its heart on the idea and its back to the job of living at least half a dozen stories higher.